My name's John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be John and Santa, the Cowboy Shirt, Video 8, the Santa Myth Part 2. So there will be 4 videos on the Santa Myth. Here's the cover, John and Santa, the Cowboy Shirt, a novella by John Passfield with a picture of me 70 years ago, my elementary school picture on the cover. Here's the summary on the back. As writer John Passfield is driving home from a December book discussion meeting and thinking about the Christmas topics that were discussed, in particular Dickens, who wrote a novella that transformed the world's conception of Christmas, he suddenly finds himself sitting in a sleigh, pulled by Rudolph and 8 tiny reindeer. What an excellent opportunity to ask Santa about a 70-year-old puzzle, the mystery of the missing cowboy shirt. Well, John cannot resist the opportunity to ask Santa about his life as a mythical creature. John's most urgent question seems to be, does Santa know the Easter Bunny? So we'll see if we find out an answer to that. Let's go to page 37 for this part of the Santa Myth. John thinks first. He doesn't speak. He speaks to Santa, but he's thinking here. Riding along beside Santa in the sleigh. Below us the lights twinkle in the dark. I have no idea where we're going, and Santa doesn't seem inclined to act as my guide. The reindeer seem to have a sense of purpose, enough to keep them in the air without any wings. Well, so much for the missing cowboy shirt. I'd hoped that Santa's search for the missing MacGuffin would yield enough of a plot to make a heart-warming, charming little book. Now, what else might make a good story? I venture to ask a question that I'm dying to ask. Do you know such, celebrities as the Easter Bunny? Do you all get together perhaps once in a while? Are there red carpet gatherings in the supernatural life? Do you swap stories of how it is to be mythic creatures? Or do you all travel on your own separate paths? So they're riding along in the sleigh and Santa answers. I know about him, John, what he is and what he does and what he stands for, but I probably don't know any more about him than you. I can speculate as to what it's like to be the Easter Bunny simply by considering how alike we seem to be. But we exist in different zones, different dimensions. I've never bumped into the Easter Bunny on my travels and don't expect to, nor the Tooth Fairy, nor Jack Frost, nor any of those. It's not like the gods all living together on Mount Olympus, interacting and interfering in each other's lives. Each of us has our separate existence and our separate role. So John thinks to himself, it's a little hard to swallow what Santa is telling me. That he doesn't know God personally makes sense to me, given the limits on his powers. That he doesn't know the Easter Bunny is harder to accept, but I'll take his word. But that he doesn't know Jack Frost is unbelievable. If I were dreaming up his answers, I would have the two of them be the best of friends. How could they live at the same latitude from what might be eons and never come across each other at all? I should ask him about Frosty the Snowman just to see what he'll say. And then Santa speaks to John. Oh, I know what you'll ask me next. Do I know the Olympic gods? Do I know the Norse gods and all the ancient ones? Well, I'm ancient too, you know, at least as a force in life. I didn't always have the external appearance that I do now, but I've never come into contact with any other ancient ones in my many thousands of years. I know them as you would know them, and nothing more. We all interact with humans, or so I read in the books, but we never interact with each other at all. Have I known Cleopatra, Shakespeare, and so many other illustrious ones? Did I deliver or suggest a gift for them in their day? Yes, of course I did, using your choice of terms. The point I would make is that I am visiting them now. I am timeless. If I am timeless, as I am, then there is no past and no future for me. Either there is nothing, a blank, a void, or there is the present, the continuous present all the time. Cleopatra is always the queen. Shakespeare is always writing his plays. Jesus is always a little babe in his mother's arms. But what about the decades? What about the passage of time? Cleopatra lost her throne. Shakespeare grew ill and died. Jesus was crucified and rose again and went up to heaven to sit at the right hand of God. Well, all of that is continuously happening. You are 76 years old. You tell me so as you sit beside me here in my sleigh. But you are also 9 years old, and I am visiting you this Christmas, and you are 19 and 29 and 39 and on, all on what you would think of as the very same day. I don't exist out of time. I exist in time, but independently of time. There's a difference in those concepts. I'm sure you'll agree. Now, says Santa, dare you ask me if you'll ever be 99? Well, the future is still to come. It's the thing that I cannot know. I live in all moments from now back to the beginning of time. But I have no crystal ball. I can't tell how long you will live. All I know is that if you live, I will know. And I will visit you when you're 99 and either bring you something that suits you or put a little thought in someone's head, someone who loves you and wants the best for you. If you are there, I will let you see me. We can continue our talk of today. We'll probably both have thought of a lot more things to say, with a lot more conundrums that we can discuss, but never solve. Sorry, John, that I don't have what you would call wisdom. I have no idea why there are continuous wars. I don't know why people die early, why some spend their lives in pain. All I know is that other people can, if they wish, make their own and others' lives a little less painful, reduce the quotient of the agony that drives so many people insane. I have been here since the beginning of time. I am the spirit of all things positive in the world. Santa continues. Gifts are a way of making human contact, giving something that you value personally to someone else. You know, the ultimate gift is the gift of the essence of the self. Sometimes it's treasured, sometimes it's not. Sometimes even the gift of a heart is left out in the rain. I have no control over the value that is placed on each gift by the recipient. I do have influence over the heart of the one who gives. Give with love and hope to be given love in return. And that's part 2 of the Santa myth. There's more to come in another video, and there's more, of course, in the novella. Every item of fiction, every play and every novel is located stylistically somewhere between the two poles of realism and folktale. Some plays and novels are written very close to the pole of realism. Here's a story which is highly realistic. Here it is. I, Joe Smith, opened the front door of my house at number 10 Main Street and walked down the concrete walkway to the curb. I opened the door of my car, a 2022 Hyundai Sonata, and drive to a restaurant. The restaurant is Sally's Come As You Are on Bollinger Street. I say hello to the waitress, Sally's daughter Miranda, and I sit in the third seat along the window, a seat that I usually choose if I get here early and no one's already seated there. I order my breakfast, bacon and eggs, over easy with rye toast and potatoes well done. In my coffee, I always like to have 1 spoonful of sugar and 2 dollops of cream. The cream that Sally orders from the Middlesbrough Dairy. Well, this, as I said, is a story that's written very close to the pole of realism. Lots of details. Now here's another item of fiction, just a single line, which is written very close to the pole of folktale. Few details. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. I have measured out my life with coffee spoons. That's the story. That's the line. This is one of the most famous lines of poetry of the 20th century. It's a line written by T.S. Eliot. It is bare of all the details that the earlier item of literature supplies. But the only connection is the coffee and the spoon and the sugar. It is a stripped-down version of a realistic situation. The great poetic novels and plays are written somewhere between the two poles of realism and folktale. There are many details about Hamlet and King Lear in the Shakespeare plays, but we are never told their height, the color of their eyes, or the color of their hair, or any of the other details that the realistic play or novel offers in great plenty. Nor, on the other hand, are they stripped as bare as the character in the T.S. Eliot line. The great items of literature are the great myths of our heritage. Each has managed to find the ideal balance between realistic detail and bare-bones folktale in their mode of presentation. So, once again, this is my novella, John and Santa, the Cowboy Shirt. There's more information about the novella on Amazon. My publisher's website is rocksmillspress.com, rocksmillspress.com. There's more information there. And at my website, johnpassfield.ca, there's 2 free books. A planning notebook, which takes me and takes you, if you're reading it, through the planning and writing process, and a journal, which shows you all the thoughts I had as I was polishing this novella for about a month. Thoughts on myth and Santa as a mythical creature and so on, how myths are made and how they're changed and altered and so on, how they represent forces in our lives, and they have a very vivid embodiment when we get to the Santa myth or the Easter Bunny myth. So have a look there at the journal and the planning notebook at johnpassfield.ca if you're interested. And lastly, I'll say thank you for watching this video.